Assalamu alaikum students, hope you all are doing well. My today's topic is deviance into thirds, line angles and point angles. Basically, deviance into third is that we have divided each aspect of the tooth into three parts. As in our previous lecture of basics of tooth morphology, we have studied different aspects of tooth that are the labial aspect, the buccal, palatal, lingual, and also the proximal surfaces, right? Which includes mesial and distal aspect. Okay, that was a brief review of my previous lecture. If you haven't taken that lecture, then must go and review for better understanding. Coming back to our today's topic, so for more pronounced and accurately describing the tooth, we have divided each aspect of the tooth, crown and root into three parts. These three parts are named according to their location. Let's see how the crown is divided. Okay. Here we have a crown and a root as well shown in this picture. This is the labial aspect of the tooth that is towards the lips, right? That is facing towards the lips. So if we divide the crown from the mesial to distal direction, it is divided as mesial third, that is towards the mesial surface. Then we have the middle third. Then we have the distal surface that would be towards the distal side, right? And if we move from the incisal side, that is the incisal end of the crown, right? Here we have the cervical line. So from incisal to the cervical direction, it is divided as incisal third, right? Here we have the middle third, then we have the cervical third as shown in this picture, right? So if we divide the crown from the buccal to the lingual direction into three pieces or three parts, it would be as the buccal, middle, and then the lingual third. Buccal third because it is facing towards the cheek, and lingual third as it is facing towards the tongue. So it would be as lingual third, middle third, and we have the buccal third as shown in this picture. This is the literal view of the tooth, that is the mesial or the distal surface of the tooth. So if you see in this crown, this is the molar tooth, can say posterior tooth, right? So as you know, in anteriors we have termed the occlusal surface as incisal surface, and for posteriors we are using the occlusal surface. So if we divide the crown from the occlusal to the cervical line, it would be divided as occlusal, middle, and then the cervical third, right? So that was a buccal, middle, and lingual. As you can see here, we have mentioned the labial third because of the position of the tooth, that is posterior and anterior, right? This is the posterior tooth, that's why we have termed it as buccal, right? Here we have the anterior tooth mentioned, so we have mentioned here labial, that is towards the lips. Then we have the middle third, then we have the lingual third, right? So let's moving towards the root. We have divided the root portion into three parts, that is the apical, middle, and then the cervical third. From the apex up to the cervical line, we have divided it as apical, middle, and cervical third, right? Okay, so we have some line angles and point angles as well, right? Line angles, basically if we talk about the line angles in very simple words, we can say line angle is a junction of two surfaces, right? As in mathematics we have drawn some x-axis and y-axis, so there is a junction of two angles, not x and y, so making an angle of 90 or 45 or so on. So the line angle is basically a junction of two surfaces, right? Here we have the anterior teeth shown. As you can see, labio-incisal angle means the angle which is formed between the labial surface and the incisal surface is called as labio-incisal line angle. Then we have the mesiolingual line angle, means the angle between the mesial surface and the lingual surface will form a mesiolingual line angle. Then we have mesiolabial, that is between the mesial surface and the labial surface. Labial surface is that surface which is towards the lips, facing the lips, right? So mesiolabial line angle. Then we have linguo-incisal line angle, that is linguo means towards the tongue, right? Towards the tongue. So tongue and towards the incisor surface. So it would be called as lingual-incisal line angle, right? Then we have disto-lingual line angle. That is, this surface is the disto means distal surface, right? Lingual means that is towards the tongue, lingual surface, right? So disto-lingual line angle that is formed by the distal surface and the lingual surface. If we consider this surface as a distal and the surface that is at the back would be the lingual. So disto-lingual line angle. Same for disto-labial. Disto means distal surface and labial means that is towards the lips, facing the lips, right? Labial surface. Here we have mentioned it, that is, here we have the labial surface which you can see. Then we have the distal surface. Mesial surface is right at the back and lingual surface is also at the back. Same. Same in the posterior teeth as well, but we have 6 line angles in anteriors and 8 line angles in posteriors. Why 6 line angles? Because these edges, right? That is the mesio-incisal edge is not completely pointed. It's most of the time it is rounded, so we won't consider it as line angle. So it would be called as simply mesio-incisal angle. Okay? So it won't be called as mesio-incisal line angle. We won't use the term line for mesio-incisal and disto-incisal surfaces, right? That's why we have only 6 surfaces in anterior teeth. So we have 8 surfaces in posteriors. The only 2 additional surfaces are disto-occlusal, right? And mesio-occlusal surface, right? Because we have sharp pointed angles, that's why we have termed it as disto-occlusal and mesio-occlusal. The rest are the same, that is mesiolingual, mesiobuccal, bucco-occlusal, linguo-occlusal, distolingual, distobuccal line angles. As we have discussed in anterior, so the same goes with the posteriors. Point angles. So as we have studied that line angle is basically formed by the junction of 2 surfaces now. So point angles are forming by the junction of 3 surfaces, that is the x, y, and z. Three-dimensional pictures, right? So x, y, and z. Point angle is formed by the junction of 3 surfaces. Let's see. Mesio means mesial surface, right? Labial is for labial surface and incisal is for incisal surface, right? In anteriors we call it as incisal surface and in posterior we would be calling it as occlusal surface. We have total 4 point angles in anterior teeth and 4 point angles in posterior as well. So mesial, labial and incisal surface का जो जंक्शन है वो हमारे पास पॉइंट एंगल बना रहे हैं, ठीक है? सेम एज इट इज मीजियल, लिंगुअल और इंसाइडल सर्फेसेस जो हैं उनके जंक्शन से हमारे पास एक पॉइंट एंगल बन रहा है जिसका हमने नाम दिया है मीजियो लिंगुओ इंसाइजल एंगल, राइट? सेम एज इट इज अगर हम बात करें डिस्टोलेबियल इंसाइजल की, तो डिस्टल सर्फेस, लेबियल सर्फेस, लेबियल वो सर्फेस है जो कि टुवर्ड्स द लिप्स है, इंसाइजल सरफेस वो है जो कि ऑक्लूजन के टाइम पे जब हमारे ऑपोजिट जो जॉस क्लोज होते हैं तो कांटेक्ट में आता है हमारे ऑपोजिट जॉ के इंसाइजल सरफेस से टूथ के साथ, राइट? डिस्टोलिंगुअल इंसाइजल भी सेम डिस्टल सरफेस है. लिंगो मींस टुवर्ड्स द टंग, लिंगुअल सरफेस, और इंसाइजल सरफेस की बात हो रही मींस के अगर हम यहाँ देखें तो दिस इज द डिस्टल सरफेस, राइट? At the back we have the lingual surface and here we have the incisor. तो यहाँ पे जो ये एंगल बनेगा that is formed by the junction of 3 surfaces, it would be disto-linguo-incisal point angle, right? Same is the case with the posterior teeth. We also have 4 point angles in posterior teeth, as you can see in this picture, right? At the back, we have the mesial surface. If you can see from this dotted line, this surface from the back is the mesial surface, right? Here we have the occlusal surface at the top, right? Here we have the buccal surface that is towards the cheek. So this is the angle which is forming by the junction of three surfaces, that is the occlusal, buccal, and then the mesial at the back. So here we have the mesio-bucco-occlusal point angle, same as the case with the mesio-lingual occlusal point angle that is forming over there. Then we have disto-lingual occlusal point angle which is forming over there. Then we have the disto, that is the distal surface, buccal. This is the buccal surface, occlusal surface. So here we have another point angle forming by the junction of three surfaces, right? Thank you so much for watching. If you like my video, then do subscribe my channel and give it a big thumbs up and keep sharing my videos with your friends. Thank you so much.